Hello, everyone. I hope you're able to hear me all right. I do have a bit of a new setup since the last time I've been doing
Hello,
the.
everyone. I hope you're able to hear me all
Whoa.
right. I do have a bit of a new setup since the last time I've been doing Hello, everyone. I hope you're able to hear me all right. I do have a
Inception. All right. Sorry about that, guys. As I said, this is a bit of a new setup for me here. I hope you're all having a great time. I know it's been a while since my last Witching Hour stream. It's been a lot of things happening. As some of you know, there was a pretty good internet outage a couple of weeks ago that really set me back a lot. And at the end of the day, we ended up getting a new router, but we just decided to go for a new internet service provider also as well. So to kind of avoid all these outages, because we were having quite a few outages lately, and we definitely need a more stable internet connection for work and whatnot. So we just went ahead and got a new internet service provider, and also just like general stuff around happening at the apartment. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. I've also been a bit under the weather this past week as well. So here we are. Finally, a new Witching Hour stream. Just doing a little bit of art, a little bit of talking, as I put in the title, Chill Art Never Give Up stream. So I am going to be working on Warlord tonight. Going to have a bit of a drink tonight as well. Just go over a few things with you guys, is kind of put you up to speed on how things are going and whatnot. Because I did have to take a small break from pretty much everything while all the craziness around me was getting resolved. It's been a hectic couple of years. It definitely has been, but it hasn't been like just for me. So, right, let me just go ahead and put what I'll be working on tonight. Right, that is going to be page 6 of the Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord Prologue Truthful Comics Edition. As I illustrate on whatnot, I do want to make a few announcements. Like with Warlord itself, I had run a poll not too long ago, kind of asking if people would be more interested in single issues, like traditional single floppy issues coming out, or if you were more interested in a kind of graphic novel trade paperback kind of deal, or like more specifically manga volumes as well. And quite a few people really found appealing the whole manga volumes actually. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do then. Let me go ahead and put some background music here. Yeah, now we're talking. Some chill background music. Clink, 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 clink. So, a couple of things. As some of you might have noticed, lately on Wednesday, I've been live streaming on my channel the last like 3 weeks now with other colleagues in the Puerto Rican comic book scene. It started out, yes, as a random live stream that the a fellow YouTuber and fellow creative Chago Rodriguez and I just randomly did a live stream talking about Puerto Rico Comic Con. It was like a few days before the convention. A couple of people had approached me because they weren't liking some of the things that were happening behind the scenes in the convention. For some reason, I'm the one that people kind of goes to complain about some things, even though I don't even live in Puerto Rico anymore. But I guess that's how much some people still trust me in that sense. Not just only trust me, but trust that I actually will like go out and say something like, "Hey, it's kind of not cool that certain things are happening." So I just made like a small Facebook post, not knowing that it was going to kind of blow up in a way. Just kind of wondering why the activity wasn't making any kind of dedication to George Perez or other local creators that had passed away recently. And a lot of stuff came out, especially about the prices for the booths and whatnot. So, Chago Rodriguez of Chago approved. I'll leave a link in the description or in the comments later on, so you can check his YouTube channel as well. We just kind of did a live, like a pre-convention live stream, and a lot of things actually like popped up about like the prices of the booth and just like some minor complaints and some bigger than others really, from other colleagues and creators as well. And that went over pretty well, I guess, in terms of views and in terms of interaction and whatnot. Though, as we said in the streams, like the purpose wasn't to like try to attract big views or try to create drama out of anything. It's more to just get a conversation started. Sometimes these conversations are necessary, and sometimes you kind of have to give a little nudge for those conversations to finally start happening. So after the convention happened that weekend, a lot of things happened during the convention and after the convention. And we did another live stream together with a couple of other colleagues as well. And that actually went incredibly well, even better than the first stream that we had done, to the point where like people are kind of like expecting a weekly show, a weekly podcast out of these live streams, which is kind of interesting. Like, this just happened. I definitely wasn't planning to do like a weekly live stream podcast kind of thing, especially with all the stuff that I have on my own plate to begin with. But it's just also great to be able to talk with other colleagues that I haven't spoken to in a very long time, and other colleagues that I'm getting to know now as well. And we all seem to have a good chemistry together talking, and we're not like trying too hard in the sense of, yeah, let's make this the best live stream or best podcast out there. Um, it's just basically a group of friends getting together and just like kind of like talking outside a comic book shop or something. Actually, that's what the majority of us would do when most of us lived in Puerto Rico or closer together. We would sometimes run into each other at activities or comic book shops, and we would just all like band together, have lunch or something, and we would just start talking about stuff. And that's essentially what these live streams are. It's basically just kind of like the conversations we would have like in a food court in a mall or something, except that now there's a camera broadcasting it to the internet now. Who would have thought? I certainly didn't think that. Who would have thought that? So it's kind of become like a weekly thing now. The last time that we did the last stream last Wednesday, it was with another colleague talking about his comic book studio, Jose Cruz, talking about Silver Island Studio, which I have mentioned before in my own live streams and podcasts, that I do a lot of freelance writing for him for his various titles. We talked a little bit about the convention as well, from his perspective as well, and talked about just like the Puerto Rican comic scene in general. So it's been an interesting couple of weeks. I can assure you that. Apparently, like there's some people. It's just bizarre because like so far the it's been received overwhelmingly positive. There's always going to be people that are going to be detractors and don't like it, but at the same time they still watch it. Which, hey, more views for my channel. But as always, I try to like keep things positive because if there's one thing that I've always tried to do is, maintain a positive atmosphere environment in my channel. So hopefully nobody takes those live streams too seriously. Again, it's just a bunch of people having a conversation in front of webcams about comics. It's not for anybody to take things personally, or it's definitely not to like um, take shots at anyone. I only have like shots but of water because I really don't drink. Like I'm not much of a day drinker, and those live streams have been at a more accessible time, I guess. So I'm just like usually drinking water during those live streams. We always aim for at the very least 1 hour, or actually at the most 1 hour, at the very least 30 to 40 minutes, and we end up doing almost 3 hours every single podcast so far. Well, except for the first one, I think, which was like maybe 2 hours or something. I don't even know anymore. They're fun though. It's actually fun to do this, and again, like I don't interact that much with other colleagues, so it's a good way to catch up with them as well, and it's a good way to kind of everyone win from being on these live streams because people from my channel that aren't familiar with their products and their content, they start checking out their YouTube or their website or their creations. And on the other hand, people that follow them end up going to my channel and checking out my stuff as well. So, you know, it's a good thing for all of us involved. So, at least for the foreseeable future, on Wednesdays, we are going to keep up doing with those live streams on Wednesdays. So that's pretty much that from that point of view. Now, from other stuff, because I've been kind of all over the place all of a sudden. This Friday, over at the Comics Crusaders YouTube channel, they're actually going to premiere an interview that was done with me through their Think Indie Podcast Extra um, podcast. For those of you who aren't familiar, Comic Book Crusaders, it's a network of independent creators and people that just like to talk about comic books in general, whether it's mainstream comics or indie comics. And they have like a bunch of little different podcasts in that channel, like the yeah, man, Webot show. There's the Comics Crusader podcast. There's the Think Indie podcast. There's the Thundercats podcast. And the Think Indie podcast is mostly kind of like a review talk show about indie comics, but they also have a subsection called Think Indie Podcast Extra, where they actually interview independent creators. And this Friday, they already have it on Premiere. It was recorded a couple of weeks ago. I'm actually going to be the creator that was interviewed. It was a fun experience. I haven't been interviewed that much, especially for a podcast. The last time I was like interviewed was maybe a year ago over at the Spellbox Comics TV channel. If anything, I'll put a direct link to that specific live stream, though you can check out any of the other live streams with other creators that appeared on that podcast, with the exception that that one was in Spanish. And of course, the Think Indie podcast extra interview is going to be in English. I hope you guys look forward to it. It was a ton of fun to do, actually. I really had a lot of fun on that interview. And I'm sorry if I repeat myself too much, but there is kind of like no other way to say it. It was just a fun experience. I talked about what got me into comics, my early years in comics. They kind of picked my brain a little bit on my process and just kind of like my routine of making comics and whatnot. So it was actually very interesting to be kind of introspective in that sense of talking about my indie comic book career with somebody at this scale. And then also on the by Indie Comic Books Day section of the Art of Manuel Carmona website, I've had the blog spotlight as well. So it was just a handful of questions I asked about Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, and where it's heading to and whatnot. Again, I'm going to put links in the description and in the comments section later on and whatnot. It's a celebration. For everyone that's waiting for Project New Wave number 3 and the Cannon Girl number 1, again, my apologies. I had gotten in contact with Indie Planet, well, really Kablam, which are the people that are in charge of Indie Planet, just to kind of touch base to know where we were at with the books being available on Indie Planet for sale, the physical and the digital copy. And once again, I don't recall if I said it last time on my last live stream. They have said that due to the overwhelming, unprecedented amount of people that started to create their own comics through Kablam, we were still kind of like on the queue for us to be updated into Indie Planet, though it was going to be soon. It's been kind of like a month since I touched base with them, so uh, I don't know. I don't know what to say at this point, except for I'm sorry. As soon as I get news, I'm going to share that news with all of you guys. But we are looking into alternate ways to kind of try to get these comics into your hands as well. And over the weekend, my brother in arms, Manuel Carmona, he was at the Iconicon, which was a creative activity in the library in Virginia where he lives. It was a fun time, according to him. He made a lot of contacts, a lot of friends, sold some comics, which is always great. And hopefully, I'll be able to do some activities myself throughout the rest of the year. I'm slowly kind of starting to get out of that shell and kind of make myself be more accessible to be in conventions and activities as well. I haven't done so in a very long time. And now that a lot of the craziness has subsided from the last couple of weeks, I am finally starting to kind of sit down and create more content again. I should be streaming more like my own usual streams like I'm doing now here on YouTube. And on Twitch, I should be resuming my streams as well, like the art stream that I was doing with that Resident Evil sticker concept that I'm working on. I still haven't touched that illustration just so I can continue where I left off last time on Twitch. And the same thing with the Mega Man 11. I haven't played the game since the last time I played it on Twitch. So I'll be doing that this week, hopefully. Also, I am going to be uploading to YouTube like a more abridged version of those live streams. Like each stream was like about an hour each, the art stream and the Mega Man stream. So I condensed it to around 25 minutes each of them. So I will be uploading them onto YouTube as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with like the full length stream. I don't know if to like upload it here on this channel or just make like an own dedicated YouTube channel where I can upload those um full videos and keep it like archived, I guess, so that I can have so when Twitch takes them down if they haven't already, since I'm not like the a pro member, I think it's up only 14 days or something like that on the Twitch channel on my page. So I'm going to go ahead and upload those streams either to this channel or I'll do create a alternate channel where I can upload the uncut versions, or I don't know if Patreon does like their video hosting at last, if they haven't done so already. I've been pretty bad on Patreon lately. I do apologize for that too. There should be more new material also coming along there soon. So yeah, I'm just basically trying to catch up. As I mentioned before, this page is going to be page 6 of the Truthful Comics edition of Fred Peterson, The Mighty Warlord, the prologue specifically. I am redrawing the whole thing because, as I mentioned, if this is your first time watching the live stream or the replay, I lost a lot of the original artwork for the webcomic of Fred Peterson, The Mighty Warlord. So I just ended up decided to redraw the whole thing because the only thing that exists is the actual web version of the art, which is on the Duck Web comics and whatnot. But if I would have taken those pages specifically and blew them up to make the comic books, it's going to be pretty obvious the quality is going to be very low because they are low resolution images that are web friendly. So if they get blown up to be on print, the resolution is just going to look very blurry, and you can tell that's a low resolution page that was blown up to be printed up to spec 4, a print book, and it's not going to look that great in my opinion. I have seen colleagues that have actually done that, and to each their own. If they believe they can do that and their audience doesn't mind it, then all the power to them, great to them. In my own personal opinion, I would much rather just offer something that's higher resolution that looks a little better, just so that it can be a more enjoyable reading experience for my particular audience. So here we are. So last time we left, I believe I had shown this page. I also right now have page 7 up as well. These are kind of like dream slash flashback sequences, so they don't have like the more traditional borders. For what other things that I'm working on, there's page 13 of the webcomic. It is actually completely finished, the line art and the inking. I just need to color it and letter it, and it will be good to go. I'm thinking I'm probably going to start with this tonight. I'm not sure. I also have pulled up page 5 actually of the prologue, which is completely fully penciled and inked as well. It just needs to also be colored and lettered too. And to make that small announcement, I am going to wait a little bit and actually publish Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, in kind of manga volumes, actually. I might also offer them as floppies as well, just for the fun of it. But the problem is, if I go with somebody like Kablam right now, I know I wouldn't be able to offer these physical copies unless I buy it myself, like in bulk, and then do all the mailing myself, which is one of the options I could look into. But then I would also have to look into the turnaround of Kablam actually sending me the physical copies as well, which is another kind of big thing. Like last time, it took like, I believe, a month maybe to get my proof copies of the Cannon Girl. Manuel, since there was a glitch in the system, it took him like maybe 3 months to get his copies of Project New Wave issue number 3. So even if I did go with Kablam for printing and whatnot, I do run the risk of things running behind a little bit. So I would kind of rather, in that case, then go ahead and work on a bigger volume, manga style volume on Warlord, because it offers more bang for the reader's buck as well. They get a more complete story. The floppies, I'll probably will have them available eventually when Indie Planet eventually gets their stuff together as well. And I don't mean to like bash them. I've been working through Kablam and Indie Planet since maybe 2008, so it's been over a decade of professional relationship with them. So it's not to bash them either. We're living in unprecedented times, so I do kind of want to cut them some slack on that as well. But yeah, like, I've just been catching up with a lot of things lately. Hopefully I'll be able to get this done soon, or as soon and as well as possible. Like lately, what I do is that I put on different podcasts as well while I'm listening, just to kind of like get into the groove of things, even if I'm not necessarily working on the comic. Like I mentioned earlier in the live stream, I'll listen to either Spellbox Comics TV, or I'll listen to the aforementioned Think Indie podcast as well. I'll listen to the aforementioned Chago Approved. There's a lot of great content out there on YouTube and even Facebook, actually. A lot of these colleagues, they stream at the same time from YouTube and Facebook, like I'm doing right now myself. The live streams that we've been doing on Wednesdays, I kind of prefer to leave that just on YouTube. I guess to like have like everything going funneling into one place. And even though I started that off in my channel, like it is my hope that eventually someone else will probably like take that baton and do it on their channel as well. Because I'm definitely not the type to do weekly shows, because I burn out pretty quickly, which is why my own personal podcasts come out bi-weekly and I do like a mid-season break. So I can just kind of like catch my breath and recover physically and mentally and whatnot. So we'll see how much I'll last with that. Okay, so I'm just kind of deciding if to color some of these pages or you know what, I'm going to go ahead and start coloring the next page for Warlord because a lot of people have been waiting for newer updates. People were actually pretty intrigued with chapter 27 so far, so I don't want to leave people hanging too badly. I'll likely be publishing this page hopefully by Wednesday if nothing, uh, goes wrong again, like with the internet or other life stuff. Hopefully it'll be all good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start the coloring process on this one. I'm just kind of catching up with what I did on my layers. Like that's the good thing that I learned throughout the years of doing things in layers and whatnot because it gives you permission to kind of backtrack and check what you did last time if it happens that you don't open up the file in a good little while. And also naming the layers as well is a tremendous help. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start doing some new layers so I can go ahead and start doing some flats. Ah. Again, I have like a combination of spring cleaning and organizing a new kind of workstation and all that good stuff. So I have kind of a bit of a mess here, which hopefully I'll be able to have resolved by the end of the week. Let me double check that I didn't knock the camera or the stream off. Okay, everything seems to be good right now. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and start doing some flats. I also have to like check out the comic itself because I don't want to go ahead and accidentally give different colors to the wrong characters or backgrounds and whatnot. I really hope that you guys can hear me well because like I said last week, I am a bit under the weather. I probably shouldn't even be drinking this, but it's a celebration of not giving up. Which kind of brings me to like that small topic at hand that I also kind of wanted to talk about. And this will be kind of like the motivational portion of this live stream, I guess, if you want to call it that. And it's just something I've been thinking about ever since that interview with the Think Indie podcast extra. Like, at one point, the host, he asks me, how is it that I'm able to do all this? Because I've been doing my own thing and also working like freelance for independent comics for like almost 20 years now, pretty much 20 years now. And he just kind of asks me how I do it, to maintain that longevity and to keep creating. And I'm just in love with the process. I am in love with the process of creating comics, you know? And a lot of times that's the thing that keeps me going. Like a lot of my projects, like I've said before, they're essentially love letters to things that helped keep my sanity together while I was growing up. And I hope that some things that I do kind of pays it forward and helps anyone else that may be needing some form of escapism at the moment as well. Like, believe it or not, there has been times where younger readers are actually having a bit of a rough time, and I don't know what their situation may be. There was this one particular reader. Um, she had gotten into some kind of trouble, and she was actually grounded that week. And she actually wrote that she was risking being caught by her parents, uh, being on the laptop just to read Fred Peterson, The Mighty Warlord. Like, on one hand, that feels so cool that someone would do that. But on the other hand, you're kind of thinking also, like, I hope they don't get in trouble just for my sake. Just kind of going back and forth, double checking the color scheme of things. Because again, I want to keep that continuity going. You know, that continuity is so important. I kind of really like Jane in this kind of get up, actually. Almost kind of like a hipster bohemian look. Like, Jane has always had like an eclectic fashion sense, if you want to call it like a fashion sense. But anyway, going back to the conversation at hand, I was just thinking a lot about the long road that has taken me to get to this point where it's been pretty much 20 years working on things. And when I say 20 years working on things, again, that's just talking about the published stuff, because I've been doing comics ever since eighth grade, you know, in notebooks and whatnot. So it's an actually longer trajectory than that. And I found that question so interesting. Like, how have I been able to maintain that kind of longevity? Especially with something like Warlord that's been out since it's been published online since 2006, really 2007, if you go all the way back to the internet forums before it was actually published on like um, the Duck Web Comics, formerly known as Drunk Duck. Like, if you've been following my career since then, there actually has been quite a few people that has followed my career since then, and kind of been following since the whole zine days with CF Comics. It has been a pretty difficult ride in many aspects. And I think that's why I kind of resonate with Gary Vaynerchuk. For those who don't know, he is an entrepreneur that also does like motivational stuff for other entrepreneurs and creatives and whatnot. And because I think I kind of identify a lot with him and a lot of the things he says about being in love with the process. Like I'm the type of creator that I'm just in love with the process of making comics. And sometimes even if I'm cursing out at the page because an angle didn't come out right or a color scheme isn't great, or if I have to rush things more than I would have liked to have done, times where I don't even want to look at another tablet or paper for 10 years at least. Once I'm about to finish, I kind of go on that voyage and kind of think like, man, all these steps that it took to actually get to this place is just, in my opinion, amazing. Like, for anyone that's in the creative field to take something out of nothing and just create something and do something with their own unique voice. It's just something, in my opinion, beautiful to behold. And it's not that I'm calling my own stuff beautiful, um, because I am self aware enough to know that there are a lot of things that can definitely be improved, especially if I have to kind of rush some things with the webcomic, especially because I want to have that content out there because I do feel a responsibility to the readers who have stuck by with me for quite a long time now. I just want to be able to just have fun. I really do have a lot of fun with the process of doing all these comics and whatnot because it's always like personally exciting to me to see how things go from point A to point B. Like I may have mentioned this before, but I'm the type of person that even watches the how stuff was made on the DVD features and Blu-ray features on movies and such, especially if they're comic book movies and they actually have features interviewing the comic book creators. I eat that up. I eat that up so badly. I think I've mentioned this before, but the first time I actually met John Romita Jr., he signed X Men 300 for me at a New York Comic Con. And I actually did mention to him that, hey, that aside from, the usual spiel of you're a great inspiration, you're one of my all time favorite artists, I actually told John Romita Jr. that I actually saw his and Mark Millar's featurette on the Kick Ass DVD. And first he gave me like a surprised look, and then he like let out a huge belly laugh. And he shakes my hand and he says, that's the first time that I've heard someone say that to me outside of my family. So that was kind of a cool moment, I guess. For those of you who don't know, I am a huge fan of the first Kick Ass movie. Not so much about the second movie, but then again, I wasn't a huge fan of the second Kick Ass story. But that's another story for another day. The point is, in saying all these things, is that if you're a creative or just in general, even if you're not a creative and you have other aspirations and other ambitions, my best wish for you is to never give up. I hope that you never give up if it's something that you really, really want in your life. As long as it doesn't harm you physically or emotionally, or doesn't harm others physically or emotionally, I wish nothing but the best for you, guys. Like, go out there and take it, take life by the tail. Like, yeah, life is definitely going to knock you down, and that motherfucker will knock you down. Like, life knocking you down is a given at one point or another, or at various points. But you have to try to find a way to just get back on your feet and keep fighting. Keep fighting that good fight. Everyone is such a unique world unto themselves. And especially if you're a creative, it would be such a damn shame if you give up without showing that world to other people. Whether it be comic book, whether it be animation, whether it be printmaking, sticker making, pin making, crocheting, movie, playwright. Just reach out for it. The other day, I was walking by a certain section in New York City that I hadn't walked around in a few years, actually. Even before the pandemic and the lockdown, I hadn't really walked around that area. And I walked past the block, a specific street where there were these people asking for money for homeless people. It was some kind of organization that benefited homelessness and whatnot, and would pass all that money from donations to services that provided help for homeless people, whether it be food or lodging or clothing and whatnot. And I was just remembering when I had just moved back to New York City. Just take a small breather real quick just to kind of keep talking about this story. If my eyes look watery, it's mainly because I don't have my Blu-ray glasses with me. If you notice that I wear glasses a lot of times when I do live streams, whether it be my own personal streams or if I pop up in someone else's streams, I'm usually wearing glasses. It's not because of eyesight. It's those are the Blu-ray glasses that shield your eyes from the rays from the screen, whether it be from your phone, from your tablet, TV, computer, etc. This is my day job involves being on the computer all day, and then I work on my comics and whatnot the rest of the day as well. I'm in front of a screen all the time, so those glasses help with avoiding eye strain and getting headaches and all that good stuff. And today I seem to have misplaced my glasses, so I decided to just say, to heck with it. I haven't live streamed in a long while now for the whole witching hour kind of live streams, like the more personal kind of intimate live streams that are more chill and whatnot. So I decided to brave it like this, which is why I'm taking a small breather now from flatting as well. So I was walking by this street in New York City, where I had just recently moved back into New York. For those who don't know, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. When I was in my preteens, my family moved to Puerto Rico, and about 10 years ago now, almost, I moved back as an adult to New York. So I had just moved back to New York. I was just kind of like wandering around, getting up to speed with how much the city had changed since I was a little kid and whatnot. As I was saying, there was this group of people that were asking for money for charity for homeless people to provide meal and lodging and clothing for them. And I didn't have much money on me at that time. I was basically job hunting, and I essentially had on me the little money that I had when I decided to move back to New York. And I just gave like I had just had lunch or something, and I gave like $2 that I hadn't changed to the person, that to one of the people that was asking for donations. And at the time, um since I didn't know back then now how to take better care of myself when I was illustrating. um I had a pretty bad wrist pain back then at that time, so I was just wearing a wrist brace on my right hand because I have been drawing pretty much all day the day before and the night before, that I was kind of walking around the city, getting acclimated to everything again. And the person that I gave the donation to, like, he was very grateful because usually people don't even give like $2 to um, that kind of charity and whatnot. And he asked me, uh, my cat's saying hello. Hey, boy, what's up, boy? I guess he wants to hear the story too. He hasn't heard this story yet. So I give him the $2, and he asks me what happened with my wrist and my hand. I just told him, like, I'm an artist. I'm working on my own comics and whatnot, and sometimes my wrist, it might be carpal tunnel or something. It just kind of um, makes my wrist and my hand just get, swollen, and I can't really work much on it lately. So he was kind of excited that I said that I was an artist and that I was doing my own comics. And he asks me if I'm any good, and I just kind of tell him that, I'm not great, but for what I do, it's passable or something like that. I'm just paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was something to that too. And he's like, "Well, are you like getting yourself out there? Are you promoting yourself?" And I actually had to think about that one. I was like thinking to myself, because especially after the car accident that I had in 2010, almost, towards the end of 2010, almost beginning of 2011, I really didn't work so much on my web comic and whatnot. Like, even then, I was just starting to kind of come back to doing my web comics more or less. So I just straight up told him, like, no, I really haven't gotten myself out there lately. Like, I didn't go into specifics, and he just told me, like, and these words always stuck with me since then. He told me to believe in myself and that I should always aim up there. And he was pointing up. He was pointing up, and when I looked up at what he was pointing at all the different, New York City billboards close to Times Square and Broadway and whatnot. So he just told me, always aim up there. And whenever I feel frustrated or downtrodden or feeling that this isn't worth it or anything, like I always kind of hear those words in the back of my head, like aim up there. And suddenly it's kind of like a reset button. I kind of just like pause and think and tell myself, you've gotten this far. You might as well finish the damn thing. And try to do it as well as you can within the circumstances. And you just have to keep going. Like I said before, life is going to throw curveballs, it's going to knock you down. That's a given. What's optional is standing up. Me personally, that's not an option. Though I can understand why some people would give up and some people would kind of stay down. Like, I'm not casting judgment upon those people. What I want to say to those people are the people that are kind of like thinking about giving up. As long as it's not harming you physically or mentally, take a break. Take a small breather. There is nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong in taking a small breather to kind of, get your feet under the ground, get the ground under your feet again, so to speak. I'm looking around for my cat. He's like walking around and asking for a little bit of attention. Like I should also be able to give him something to snack on in a little bit. It's all about getting back up. And again, if you're going through that kind of situation right now, the best thing I can say to you is keep it together. Keep believing in yourself. If you need to take a break, no matter how long or short it is, take a break. There's nothing wrong in taking a breather. Technically, there's nothing wrong in giving up either. But if you're really passionate, this is what you really, really want to do, then I encourage you to, again, maybe take a step back, take a breather, take a couple of days, a week, a month, however it may take you to feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, we also want you to be healthy and, have peace of mind as well. Ugh, I'm sorry, guys. My eyes are really bugging me. I should have tried to find my glasses before I started this live stream. No, it seems like I'm just getting super emotional, and I'm really not. There's no problem with getting super emotional either, though, because I am the type of person. Well, if you read any of my comics, I am definitely the type of person that does get emotional sometimes. Nothing bad with that. Ugh. I can barely keep my eyes open at this point. I'm probably going to have to cut the live stream a little bit shorter than I thought. In the sense, also, I'm doing less work than I thought I was going to do. Next time, I'll definitely have those Blu-ray glasses. Um, those if I sometimes I accidentally say grasses, but it's not because I'm trying to be funny or racist or anything. That's just the result of too many memes from Berserk. If you ever heard the intro song, you'll know what I'm talking about. Oh wow. You can't beat doing things live, my friends. This is just another example of rolling with the punches, I suppose. And I guess I've been thinking a lot about these things also because I rewatched the entire Neon Genesis Evangelion saga as well. I watched the original series on Blu-ray, and then I watched the Blu-rays of the rebuild of Evangelion, and of course the final part of rebuild on Amazon Prime. And they actually had a they haven't on Amazon a documentary on that final movie of rebuild and interviews and behind the scenes stuff with Hideaki Anno, the director, writer, creator of Evangelion. There's actually a lot of similarities between him and I, especially with the whole kind of mental health aspect. Though I would believe that he would be actually. I'm going to turn the camera off real quick and just tend to my cat real quick. I'll be right back. Alrighty, and we are right back. Right, sorry about for that small delay. Also, my eyes kind of needed to walk away from the screen for a second as well. As I finish my drink, adult beverages this time. One of my preferred drinks. It is a Japanese liquor. This is what I usually drink on these late night live streams and what I'm usually drinking beforehand when I start these live streams and whatnot. As I was saying, like it's perfectly fine to feel like you need to take a mental health break. Like I was saying before, I was watching this documentary on Hideaki Anno, the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and just listening to his mental health struggles and listening to the people around him, especially his wife, talk about his mental health struggles. It does make you think a lot, especially when you're a creative, and especially the type of creative that kind of tries to put their all into their things, to put it out there. Like a lot of the stuff that he puts out there is so personal and involves so many aspects about mental health as well. And characters that, especially main characters that seem to go through different kinds of mental struggles. And there is kind of like that parallel with my own stories as well, whether it be Warlord or Delta Task Force 6. Of course, never mind. Even another things kind of like Project New Wave to an extent. There is kind of like that parallel with Hideaki Anno as well, in terms of stories where there's one character or multiple characters that kind of go through that whole mental health aspect as well. And lately, I have been giving myself permission more than I had when I was younger. In retrospect, I kind of wish I would have taken some mental health breaks before when I was younger as well. But I decided to like power through whatever I was going through, and I was not mature enough, I guess, to be able to do that and not burn myself out, causing myself to take even longer to do some things, especially when it comes to my web comics and whatnot. But I just keep pushing forward, like again, a lot of it is being in love with the process of creating, that whole, like it's just exhilarating to me, that whole process of creating, of putting the words down on the keyboard or on the paper, putting in new designs on old characters, or introducing brand new characters. Like one of the aspects about Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, if you haven't noticed too much, between book 1 and book 2 of Warlord, pretty much all the characters, their appearances have changed slightly, and some more noticeable than others. Like the more noticeable ones, I guess, would be Jane and Donna, which have much shorter hair compared to book 1, where Jane kind of had, her hair length was almost by down to her waist, and she had bangs, and now she has more of a shorter cut, more kind of like a shoulder length cut, and Donna has more like a pixie cut compared to like the shoulder ear kind of cut as well. As you can kind of see there on this panel, comparing her look to like the original look from book 1. I think I am going to stop the stream here. Again, mostly because my eyes are starting to get a little affected by the whole um, not finding my Blu-ray glasses. If there's anything that I want anyone to take from this stream is yes, that as long as it's not harming you physically or mentally, or harming those close to you physically or mentally, don't give up. You know, keep striving for what you want to accomplish. If you're specifically in the creative realm, again, whether it be comic books, animation, prints, stickers, pins, crocheting, stitching, web comics, movie making, musicals, playwrights, it's all good. It's all creative. It's all creations. It's all creating something out of nothing. I wish nothing but the best for all of you. I wish for you all to have strength and conviction and discipline in whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And just like I was told to aim up there a long time ago, I just want to tell all of you to aim up there as well. Because if I make it, anyone can make it. And if I make it, I want you to make it as well. I want everyone around me to be elevated, um, not just to like whatever position I'm in, but to shoot even further than me. It's kind of like the whole running gag that I have with Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. Uh, is quickly approaching a milestone in Puerto Rican comics. Turey El Taino has one of the longest, if not the longest running comic book series at 35 issues, and I'm at number chapter 27 now, not counting all the prologues and epilogues and webisodes and specials and whatnot. Well, I am approaching those 35, and the competitive side of me does want to reach it and surpass it, but at the same time, I'm not only excited about trying to surpass that number as a personal goal, I'm even more excited actually to see who's going to meet me and surpass me eventually at that goal as well. You know, it's just like so intriguing to me to see who would be able to stay on their story that long and, you know, surpass it, speaking in terms of Puerto Rican comics and whatnot. So it's not just a challenge to myself, it's also a challenge to everyone else out there, and I want someone to if I'm able to surpass Dure, I want someone to eventually surpass me as well, kind of do like the time honored tradition in wrestling of putting someone over or something. That would actually be very kick ass. Anyway, I think with that in mind, I'm going to leave you guys. It's been almost an hour and a half. I didn't get to do as much stuff as I would have wanted to. Again, it's my own fault for misplacing my own Blu-ray glasses as well. You win some, you lose some. But eventually, I'll probably, if I don't do another live stream tonight, throughout the week, I am going to try to live stream over at Twitch, as I mentioned before, doing the art stream and the gaming stream as well. I believe on Wednesday I am going to be doing another live stream as well with other Puerto Rican comic colleagues as well. So that should be fun. I'm not going to go into too much details yet because some things are being planned behind the scenes for that specific live streams to hopefully we'll be able to pull off what we actually want to do. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Also, I'll probably do another live stream dedicated to this, but the channel recently did pass the 200 subscribers and the 75,000 lifetime views as well. So it's actually very close to 80,000 lifetime views now. And it's stayed in that 200, 202 subscribers amount. So, I will do a celebration stream of that eventually. I'm kind of almost waiting for the other shoe to drop where people randomly start unsubscribing or YouTube itself starts purging dead accounts or something that'll put me under 200 or whatever. Which has happened before. But I am very excited. I'm very grateful to everyone that has subscribed. If you're watching this or you watch the replay, like, subscribe, share if you wish. And like I said, if there's anything of value in this stream, is that I want anyone that's kind of feeling down or feeling like they want to give up, just breathe, take a breather, take a step back. Sometimes stepping back, just like when you're doing a painting, sometimes you have to like step back to see the whole picture and kind of take in everything that's there and maybe observe something that you didn't see because you had the painting so close to you while you were working on it. So just take a breather, step back, and hopefully just keep pushing forward and don't give up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Kind of like when I say in my podcast, stay creative, my friends, and I will catch you all next time.